Hey guys, this is Nathan with Nick's Handmade Boots. Today we are talking about how to condition your work boots. Let's get right in. If you missed our first video on how to deep clean your work boots, go ahead and check that out first. Today we're talking about how to condition your work boots. So you gotta get them clean before you can condition them. So it's pretty obvious to see that this leather is pretty dry. You can see on this black work leather, some of these lighter spots. You can see on the edges of the heel as well that it's pretty dry there. So we're gonna take care of all of this today with our conditioning, and let's go to the next step. So for the conditioning now, we're actually gonna start with the upper, which is essentially this whole portion here. So in order to start conditioning the boot, we are actually gonna start with just the upper portion here. We'll do the sole and heel later. For conditioning the upper, we're gonna use the Nick's grease. You can see more about the grease and oil in this video here. Okay, to apply the grease, I'm gonna use a rag. You can use your hands as well, but this tends to work pretty well for me. So you're just gonna take a little bit of that grease here on the rag, and then you'll see we'll just start to work this into the leather. So around the hardware here, we don't wanna put too much wax or oil around the hardware, as that could really soften up this leather. So you can put light amounts around it, but try not to overdo it. So we'll just continue on here with the conditioning. Like I said, we'll put sparingly around the hardware and get the whole boot conditioned. Now you can see as a transition here how much of a difference that makes. You can see this was just dry as could be and needed this conditioner. So Nick's grease can go all the way up the tongue or gusset here. Keep it out of the inside, but you can definitely put a good coat on the tongue. Okay, once we're done putting all of the Nick's grease onto the boot, we can just let it sit for a little while and allow that boot to absorb the conditioner. So you can see all the waxes that are still up on the top of the boot. This is gonna add a lot of water resistance to your boot. You can also tell most of the oils have soaked into the leather and it doesn't feel oily to the touch. Now that we've conditioned the upper, let's move down to the edges of the heel block and the sole. So for the work boots here, these boots come with black uppers and they'll have a black edge. After wearing the boots and the edge dye wearing off, we're gonna wanna restore that. So for that, I like to use this stain wax. This is like a stain wax, kind of shoe polish type product. If you wanna purchase any of the products we used in this video, we'll leave a link below. So because these boots had a black edge on them, I'm gonna use the black shoe polish / stain wax. This stuff is pretty messy. You're gonna wanna be careful as this is gonna stain any clothing that it would get on. So I'll just take a rag, similar to how you'd shine shoes or boots. Just take a rag and get a little bit of this on my rag, and then we'll just start working this into the edges of the boot. So you can see there's a small amount on the rag, and this heel block being dry, you're gonna need to work this into it so that it soaks in a bit. So you can see how it starts to color that stack of leather and turn it black. So we're just gonna keep doing this all the way around the boot, and then I'll show you how it turns out. So if you want, you can also add some of that black into here and dye the stitching, but we're not gonna worry about that today. So after this sits on the edges of the soles for a little while, we can take a rag and just start to buff off any extra. This is gonna keep that black from transferring on to clothing or onto floors. So at this point, you can put in some new laces and false tongues, get your boots laced up. If you like this tutorial and you wanna see more like it, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe to our channel below. Otherwise, you're good to lace up and start wearing your boots again.